First, a word from our super specialty sponsor. We talk a lot about maintaining the quality that was handed off to us before, from the producer to the exporter and beyond. It is important that quality is taken seriously so the hard work the producer put into their harvest, the exporter into their exporting, is captured when we take our first sip. The coffee bag is a place where this matters a ton. Keeping coffee fresh, yes, but also looking fresh. Communicating the vision of your coffee brand. Savor Brands is a group of wonderful people ready to help you capture that vision in high quality form. Find them at savorbrands.com and tell them Jesse sent you. Not all coffee producers have exporter experience like Benjamin Paz. If you are not a coffee producer, we do have some producers listening, pretend for a moment that you are. You have worked hard to harvest your coffee, and now you have buckets of coffee cherries. Your coffee needs to be processed out of their cherries, assessed for quality, packaged, sold, and so on. Not to mention the government-level compliance hoops, the handling of shipping documents, transportation arrangements. You get the idea. Being a coffee producer is a full-time gig, so who is next in the chain of hands? In most cases, it is the coffee exporter. You're listening to the Coffee Podcast. I'm Jesse Hartman. This is the story of specialty coffee, exporter. Well, we're just going to get started really naturally here. Let's sit down with Jose and Maria Gracia Rivera to talk about their lives as coffee people and their business as Peruvian coffee exporters at Origin Coffee Lab. Okay, great. We're here at Metric in Chicago. We're talking about the story of coffee from each part of the chain, all the way from producers, so we talked to Ben, exporters, all the way down to a barista or retail side, talking about how that coffee is ultimately held all the way to the person who's going to buy it and drink it. So I want to unpack what exporting is with y'all. And we'll just start first with introductions. So Maria Garcia... Oh, I was so close. We already agreed that I was going to mess this up.
Yeah, you can call me MG.
She said I could call her MG. So MG, thank you for that. Tell us about yourself and maybe a little bit about the story of how y'all met.
Well, Maria Gracia, and I actually don't come from a coffee background. I was born in Peru, in Lima, and my family is from the coast of Peru. So I had no idea how a plant grows or how agriculture works. And then we met many years ago. We're about to be 10 years married already, but we met 2008 or 7. I have no idea now. Okay. And we started dating, and then he introduced me into the coffee world, which I was a little hesitant at the beginning.
And why is that? Why were you hesitant?
Because it felt overwhelming. It was a lot of information. It was a lot to get to know. But what actually drove me to like it is the people. The people here, but also the people in the field. At the same time we opened Origin Coffee Lab, I also opened a nonprofit. It's called Janapaki. And with this nonprofit, I started doing all the social work. And that's actually what made me fall in love with coffee, is the human work behind.
The hands, the people.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Jose.
I come from a coffee background. My family used to produce coffee, still produce coffee. My dad works in coffee, like in the trading, export side. And how I get into coffee, it was a forced thing. In the beginning, I went through a lot of stuff while I was young, and I wasn't the smartest student. I didn't like to study.
What did you like to do instead of study?
He's really handy.
Yeah, Yeah. And also, I like computer games. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a nerd. So my dad made me work in every single coffee job, from producing coffee, like processing coffee, like milling coffee in the dry mill, like QC, quality control, logistics.
Wow,
roasting
logistics
coffee.
too, on top of all of those things.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest jobs I ever had before, because now everything is digital. Like documentation is digital, PDFs and everything. But before, everything was actually a real
Like
paper.
would you fax papers? Like
Exactly.
No, I mean, he had to take them.
Yeah. I had
Oh.
to take all the papers, like going to the pour.
And he got robbed many times.
Going to the pour, getting the papers, all the documentation, and running to the shipping line and submit the documentation, like waiting for them to like get all the seals, and then taking that to the local government and fighting to get the papers on time. Like
So
it is like it was very, very crazy job. So I learned a lot, but also I still didn't like coffee. But then
I wonder why.
but then, my dad started getting a lot of visitors. Probably these people didn't remember me, and probably they didn't remember me. I got a quality control course with George Howell in 2007, I think.
Oh, he was doing Cup of Excellence? Or,
No.
Or
just
not yet?
cupping stuff.
Oh, just cupping.
Yeah,
Okay.
just cupping stuff. Peter Giuliano, at that time, he was working at Counterculture, and he visited my dad's facility, and I met him. For me, that was like meeting a legend in the beginning of the specialty coffee. So for some reason, these people like transmit all this passion for specialty coffee they have to me. And I started like growing a little bit of love about coffee.
Was this before you moved to Chicago?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Way before.
Way
So you
before.
had this like, I don't like coffee, I don't like what it's doing to me, kind of mentality. And then you met George Howell and you mentioned Peter as well.
Probably they don't
even know this.
they
They'll know
don't
this.
even
We'll tell
know
them.
Yeah.
We'll tell them. That's amazing. So I know you, like, the interesting thing here about the story that we're telling with all these episodes is that multiple people we're interviewing have roasted at Metric, which just seems weird. It's like, and so you're one of the people who roasted at Metric as well. Okay, let me go back to MG for a second. Like, y'all were married before Chicago.
No. So my mom brought me from Peru in 2012. And by October 2012, he was saying that he was coming because of coffee. He was actually coming because of me.
Oh, the truth is out.
And then, we started dating then. And once we got married, he was able to come we stayed for a year and a half only. Okay. Because afterwards, he discovered the necessity of a specialty Peruvian coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So tell your side of that, like moving to Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. And then when I get into Chicago, I was visiting the Intelligentsia Fellows, and I met Xavier over there. He was telling me that he had an old roaster, and
he was the roaster. So what is it?
Yeah, he was the roaster, but he was an old roaster machine. So
yes.
Someone from Counterculture, I don't remember who was visiting. Probably Ben Horner.
Tim was at Counterculture
too.
Yeah,
no, but was a roaster, but also he was a roaster technician. He taught me a lot of stuff about fixing and rebuilding old roasters. And I rescue an old roaster, an old Probat roaster my dad had in Lima. So I'm making it work. So I was roasting coffee for about 3-4 years back in Lima. And then here, I've met Xavier, and Xavier told me that he has an old German machine. So I came here and I fell in love with the machine. So I started
so you had a connection with the machine. That's really cool.
He's a geek.
Yeah.
So I was coming every day, and then Xavier asked me if I wanna roast because he was needing some people to work. Mm-hmm. That's how I ended roasting coffee here.
That's amazing.
In the small, not a small, but 15 kilo Probat from the 60s that is back here.
That's crazy. I can't help but bring up Hara, who's also roasting. If people are listening to the episode in order, they will not have met Hara yet. But the stories of how y'all came into roasting is so unusual. You fixed up an old machine, you're roasting on it at Origin. at Origin. I don't know if we say that in this context, but and then you come here and now you're roasting on this old machine with that connection. It's just really, really fascinating stuff. Okay, so let's try to get back to exporting a little bit. So you're roasting, y'all are in Chicago. What happens? How do we get there?
We were struggling, I think, with the green coffee inventory. And because of the coffee jobs I had before.
At Metric?
No. Before, back home.
Got it.
I had experience with a lot of like green coffee buying, like how the C market works, like fixing C market prices, inventory, like doing production costs and everything. Yeah. Like I was trying to help Xavier here how to deal with the menu, how to deal with the buying, how to deal with the green inventory, how to do QC, quality control, how to do like blends and everything. So I noticed that Peruvian coffee we were using wasn't that good. And then like we got very frustrated when we tried to get some good Peruvian coffee. I did a lot of research trying to buy the best Peruvian coffee because obviously it was my country and I wanted to highlight that. Yeah. But we didn't found any. And then the coffee that we bought arrived with a defect named phenol. And when we...
What defect is that?
Phenol is
a like
really...
phenol.
It's a bad taste.
It's like a... Yeah, okay, I remember.
So when we claimed to the importer, to the distributor, like they told us, every Peru has phenol. So we didn't want to buy Peruvian coffee
That's like
anymore.
every Burundi has potato.
Exactly. So after that, I went back to Peru just for visiting family and like a week or two. And I visited like the coffee lands back with my family. And we noticed that, hey, it's really good coffee that we can...
There was potential.
There was potential. Yeah. What was that moment like? Describe it first. Do you remember that moment as well?
Well, he told me I have to go to Peru. I'm like, what for? I actually was working in the hotel industry, in the hospitality industry.
Okay. Doing what kind of work?
I was a hotel operator, so I was on the phone most of the day.
Wow.
Not really interesting.
Sounds busy.
It was busy, but not interesting.
Yeah.
So he told me he was going back home, and I was like, okay. And he told me, do you want to come with? And I asked him what he was going to do, and he was like, I'm going to the fields. And I'm like, I hated insects.
Okay.
I see one and I run away. Well, not now, not as much now.
Yeah.
But before telling me that, it was like, I don't know, there was going to be so many insects in there. I'm like, I'll stay. So I stayed. He went there. There is not much signal when you travel over there. But he was really, really excited of what he found. And that was like, okay, this is nice then.
Okay, so you had a cup that was from a farm, or tell us about it.
Yeah, when I get back to Peru, like I start like cupping through a lot of different coffees. I knew that was a lot of potential, so I identified the problem, what was the base problem that everybody has. And then I knew already as a roaster here, what are the necessities a roaster has that needs to be covered.
Yeah, you had market knowledge.
Exactly.
So
when I went back to Peru, I analyzed both sides of the industry and said, okay, instead of just solving the problem, the idea was to prevent the problem, like to not happen all this phenol stuff, like defect coffees arriving, low quality coffee, with activities back in the field, like more quality control, lot separation, profile separation, variety separations, drying and everything. And it's something that for me was very easy to identify and hey, here is what we should do to supply this kind of market. And the good thing is that nobody in Peru was doing that before.
Yeah. Well, how would they know? I guess is part of the question, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it sounds like y'all are a big part of bringing that knowledge to producers who need, like, how can they know otherwise? This is a topic that kind of comes up a lot. Like, the consumer has these expectations, but if the expectations aren't communicated all the way back. So it's cool that y'all were able to be a part of that. And so let's keep it framed up because I want to ask y'all so many questions about exporting and its role in the story of coffee all the way through. So can you tell us, exporting, where does it fit in coffee, in your opinion? And let's kind of use Metric as a like supply chain we can follow. So when Metric buys coffee from y'all, What does that process look like? And what does it mean for y'all to transfer ownership of the coffee, like from Peru to Xavier and team, and then to the consumer?
So this is it's not a tricky question. It's a question that the response is going to have a lot of meaningful things.
Okay.
About trust, about love, about like friendship or brotherhood. Act in the same supply chain as a family, as a solid group.
Okay.
That cannot, as a pyramid, that cannot be like destroyed. Like trust is very important.
Mm-hmm. Is trust and relationship kind of synonymous here, or are they?
No,
they're different.
No,
okay,
they're different.
Okay.
They are different. Okay. And this is something beyond a relationship.
Okay.
It's like I think the quote for me in this expo or this year was like, shall we see sustainability as goals or as a mindset? So most of the companies, they set up goals, and it's good. But once you cover your goal, once you reach your goal, you sit in your comfort zone and just keep working in automatic motion. But then, like, if we really work as a mindset, that is the everyday thing. Like, you wake up trying to just get better and better and better every single day. So it's like a motivation, it's like a motor, it's like an engine that is going to make you do the things better every single day. And this is what we need. Like in the exporting side, of course, we do the export and all the logistics and putting the coffee in the ship, in the vessel, and sending the coffee through the water, all the information, all the documentation, like deal with producers, deal with customers. But something that we learned through the years is that export is something very, very, very simple that anybody can do. We have like transnationals that they have their own protocols to do the export. And it's something so easy that someone who is, I don't know, living in Spain or Costa Rica handle the logistics, and they just see papers with names, and they got the papers from one side to the other side.
Well, somebody had to run them the paper. I heard that earlier.
Now everything is digital. They submit the papers and that's it. They don't know anything about the product. They don't know. Even they never see the coffee bags. They never see the container. They never see the vessel. They never see anything. Yeah. So here is different for us because we see Origin Coffee Lab as a facilitator.
Okay.
Facilitate the relationship or the connection between a roaster and between a producer or group of producers. Okay. Because we have the hard task to deal with both sides because we understand both sides.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So deal with the producer, that the producer always want more money, always want more stuff, always want more like aid or like free money or more like support. And I understand that because it's the reality they have. Mm-hmm. In the industry, we talk about like long-term relationships that the roaster pay a really good price. But then imagine you as a producer getting a good price 3 years in a row, and then you still live in the poverty cycle, and then someone is coming to your farm and offer you a little bit of money. They are going to run away of the relationship they are right now.
Yeah. That's back to that trust piece,
exactly.
I guess. Yeah.
So, and the roaster is going to be upset about it, but the roaster doesn't understand 100% the reality of that producer. That producer still needs to feed the family. Yeah. So there are different realities. Everyone in this supply chain, I think, understand what sustainability means in a different way. So that's why we, as Origin Coffee Lab, we prefer to set up the sustainability as a mindset instead goals. Okay. Because with goals, the producer has
the goals.
Yeah.
Taking the coffee
their
to you.
Goals. We have our goals. Metri will have their goals. Yeah. And most of the time, these goals doesn't match each other. Yeah. But then, if we think about sustainability as a mindset, like all of us will be in the same page. All of us will see the information at the same time, the transparency at the same time. And our role as Origin Coffee Lab is to deal with both sides of the industry and facilitate all the different like quality, all the different services, quality, logistics, operations, financing, to both sides. Because we finance in advance producers, but at some point we finance roasters in some way. Because if a producer is delivering coffee to our bodega in June, we fully pay that coffee in June, and we pay for that fully coffee in July and August, and we don't ship that coffee until November probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we are still doing like 3, 4, 5 months of financing to the producer and to the roaster. The producer is not going to wait 5, 6 months of with no payment for their product, and the roaster is not going to pay in advance.
Yeah, I see.
So that is just
there's
one
risk.
thing.
There's risk.
There is a lot of risk.
You want to tell us a little bit about that risk factor? Or help me understand, actually, let me take a step back. Let me understand your role a little more in the company, and then maybe we can shift into that idea of risk, because I also want to hold it up to the difference between like exporter risk and then trader risk, because I'm confused.
Okay. So my role at Origin now is I oversee all the operation. So I'm the operations manager.
Okay. Yeah. So hotel operations, kind of. It's a very different world.
So I'm in charge of everything, and I mostly see also the social work and the human resources in the company. So I oversee everything.
Okay.
And I try to have a good relationship with our producers. So I started at the warehouse. And why I like it and why I stay is because of the contact I have every day with the producers. Like they come and they sit, we talk, we chat. Not exclusively about coffee.
Oh, really? That's not all producers want to talk about?
But it's mainly sometimes I have producers that are women that don't have people to talk to or don't have much confidence in someone. So they come and see and they're like, oh, you don't know what's happening at home and this person is sick and I have to go and see this. So they have the time to spend themselves with me. And not even women, also men just come and sit with me and talk to me about a lot of stuff. So I like that side of the job. Now that I'm gonna be overseeing everything, because this is something new, I have to get more involved with the commercial stuff. So I'm gonna start seeing somewhat of risk. But for now, I think the person to ask for risk will be him, because he's been handling the risk for the 5-6 years we've been on this business now.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's move back to you, Jose. So the risk, I want to hear from your side as an exporter. And then just like as information for me and listeners, like what is the difference between the risk of the exporter in this context and somebody like a trader? And maybe I'm asking a bad question, so let's jump there.
It's not a bad question. It's a good question. But the big thing is that an exporter can be a trader as well. Or is a trader in a good way. I will do a comparison between what you have as a concept as a trader, because I am a trader in some way, and most of the exporters are traders too. I think the question should be, what is the difference between a skilled trader and what is the difference about someone who just learned how to trade coffee?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about traders. Traders work basically with the C market. So how this works is like they sell coffee and buy coffee. They don't care, like, obviously, like, yeah, we care about the quality, we care about like the green preparation and everything. But then in terms about money, it's about like how much you sell and how much you buy, and if you're doing money between all the trading you are doing. And for this, like, there is a lot of tools that the traders from our side don't have.
Okay. Like what? What are some of those?
Most of them don't have. Tools about like market reports.
Oh, okay.
Market trends.
Like futures stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, the stuff that really scares me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Future stuff. Like
future.
For example, someone like a transnational company, if I am buying a coffee, let's say I work for a transnational company. So I'm buying coffee from you. The only coffee you produce, like 5 containers. I'm buying your 5 containers at a C market plus something. Once I give you the contract of buying, the same time I am selling because I have the money to do it. I have the money to buy and I have the money to sell. So that is two sides. So I am 100% covered. So where is my profit? Is the coffee that I am selling to cover your coffee is good because that coffee is not a real existence. It's just trading paper. Your coffee is going to arrive and I am going to sell it to her and I'm going to do a profit in your coffee. But I can do that because I have the budget, I have the money to do it. You, in the other side of the industry, you're a trader because you're trading coffee with me, but you don't have access to these tools. You don't know how the coffee trends are going. Of course, I, as a normal trader, I don't know also, but I have the money to cover myself. You don't have the same tools to cover yourself. So you are basically gambling in the market. So that is so risky. That is one kind of risk. The other risk that Latin American, African exporters face is the commitments. Like, for example, 2022 was a very hard year for us. In my life, even when I was working back with my dad, I never see a year like 2022. It was a crazy year. The local pricing was so expensive. Every people was crazy about buying coffee. Like, the sea market didn't match with the local price. In the other way, because the coffee was more expensive than the sea market, and that is something that never happens. And then the industry got crazy and overbought a lot of coffee. So the trends for the next year was like, they were very long in coffee, but in the short term. So they got coffee for like 2-3 months. And then after that, they were very short in coffee, but everyone was very cautious about buying coffee. They didn't want to do the same mistakes they did the year before. So that is bad for us, because if a producer is producing 100 bags, instead just having a commitment of 100 bags, we have like 20 bag commitments every 2 months. So that is bad because we don't know as Origin Coffee Lab what to say to the producers. Are we going to buy 100% of your harvest?
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to keep buying coffee from you? So we got that risk and tried to deal with the market, facilitate everything for the producers, and we got all the coffee from the producers at a fully price. So that year we export around like 92 containers. So this year we are back down to 65. So all that overbuy that we did like 2 years ago, we needed to, most of it, sell it in loss, like losing money, because we're going to mess up our supply chain. Because like there were out customers that they commit in the beginning and then they just stop responding emails, stop responding WhatsApps, stop responding.
You're talking
messages.
retail side. Side, yeah.
And then we have like even customers that they wash out the contracts.
What does that mean? Sorry,
wash out is like when they ran away. We have a contract and the customer ran away from the contract and just leave it.
Oh, so they broke contract.
Yeah,
is
they
what
broke
I think
contracts.
Okay.
So at the end, like we bought a lot of specialty coffee that we needed to sell as a C market in a negative with a negative.
Yeah, because you bought it not
differential.
at C market,
Exactly,
and then had to sell it at C.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, and somebody's getting delicious Peruvian coffee for cheap.
For very cheap.
Yeah, and y'all are taking the brunt of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we needed to sell a lot of coffee locally as a low-grade coffee.
Oh, wow.
Even the coffee was almost pristine green preparation.
Fly out to Peru and just drink a bunch of coffee.
But then, like, that teaches how to deal with customers, how to work.
Well, and also producers, right? Yeah.
Run out of some customers, that doesn't mean any sustainability for us and for our producers.
Yeah. Can I ask you, since you're talking to producers a lot, in that season, it was very stressful, I'm sure, as y'all are trying to figure out what to do. As Jose, you're trying to figure out, what do I do, you know? And producers getting stressed, and what was that the case?
Well, they were really happy.
Well, I mean, at first, was there uncertainty, or they didn't know? And so y'all kind of all felt the stress.
That's the problem, that they don't know this stress. They don't know this uncertainty. They don't know what's going on. They just want us to buy the coffee.
Because of the role you're playing.
And pay the price that the global price is at.
So they're saying the C price is fine for them. Oh, okay.
That year, yeah.
Okay, that year, yes.
Yeah, because-
So for that year, they were really happy because the price went extremely high
Right.
in comparison to different
Oh, I got
years.
you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm catching up. I got you.
So for them was really nice, but I was always talking to them and telling them, you have to save money because for next year, I don't think it's gonna be the same. So let's just be smart about how we're using the money and in what are you investing because it's not gonna be the same all the time.
Oh, yeah. Because you get a big check or something. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy something nice for myself, right? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people do. And so you're trying to be like, no, we need to like invest this wisely into the future of your coffee so that you can keep growing. Wow. That's such an important role. I mean, I would need that in my life. In the same position, if I was a producer, I'd be like, I'm going to go buy some cool stuff for, I don't know, unrelated to coffee. And so, yeah, just reinvesting and having that, that's really cool. That's really neat. Let's ask one question. I'm going to ask it to you both. The role of the exporter, okay, I think you both play a unique role because of you're both exporters, right? Working in the same context. But what does it mean we can either call it transfer the ownership of the coffee, and I don't mean like financially, I mean like the value, the like inherent value of what coffee is with all the hands of people, or we can think of it like the story of coffee and the importance of the producer, the exporter as part of this story. How do y'all view yourselves as responsible in moving that story forward or handing off that value to the next person in the chain? So I'll start with you, Jose, and then we'll come back to you, MJ.
What we think is that the role, like everyone, if you are not a producer, if your main role is not produce coffee, and you are not adding value to the supply chain and transmitting what that coffee means to the final consumer, we are failing.
Okay.
And that is something that at Origin Coffee Lab we don't want to do. We don't want to fail. So we are very focused in adding value to the supply chain. So in every single step, in every single process, in every single like cupping, sip, bag, sample, every single thing that we are doing, like we try to add value to the supply chain. And that value needs to follow the value path up to the final consumer that is going to get a sip in this coffee shop.
Yeah. So it's long vision, right?
Yeah.
Like not just handing off to the next person, not just like receiving the coffee from the producer. It's like you said too, like you have relationships with the producers. Like for you, it's a very heavy mix of business and relationship. And so how about for you? Same question.
Well, our mindset is practically the same.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really important to share the history behind that cup of coffee that someone is drinking. When clients come and visit, for me, it's really exciting because I see the faces of the producers and they love when they come and visit and see how they are actually doing the coffee and how they love to explain how they are drying the coffee and the process they are having.
Yeah.
They love taking us walking on the field. I mean, we're not in shape of doing it as they are, but they really like to be involved as well.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just transmitting. It's not just handing the coffee. Okay, now you have your coffee, I have my money. No, for me, it's a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Which involve a lot of communication.
Yeah, I've never heard it put that. Like a dating relationship. Yeah. That's funny.
There has to be a lot of communication. We have buyers that communicate with our producers through WhatsApp, through Instagram, through Facebook. So there is communication. And when like one of my clients speaks, most of my clients, some of them speak Spanish, they are able to come and just chat with the producer. And I'm like, okay, I'm done here. Like, this is your relationship. You go and talk, ask him whatever you want to ask him.
Nice.
Transparency is 100%, and that's what I love the most. Everybody should be treated equally. So for us, when a producer comes into the warehouse, we're like, do you want a cup of coffee? Do you want water? Do you have a place to sit down? And when clients come, it's the same way. So it's really important to keep sharing love and friendship.
Yeah, that is something that we were trying to change. Like, for example, in normal exporter, is like the place that they were receiving, the producers that are delivering coffee are like in very bad conditions. And the place where the buyer is going to cup, to sit, to spend some time, it has air conditioning, like cold water, like comfortable sofas and everything. So what we try is to mix all of us in the same place, even if the place is good or not, like putting or exposing everyone to the same conditions. So that helps us a lot, because like producers now, like they can feel at the same level that from, like, let's say like the French people, and they talk in the same language. So that changed a lot through the years, and that is good. Maria Gracia acts like a psychology therapy sometimes, because like every time I go down to the warehouse, like I just saw her on her desk, like just listening all the problems that producers like had to say. like it's like therapy. They don't just deliver the coffee, they deliver the coffee, bring food for the team, bring
because
fruits for us.
they bring fruits or hens or cuy. Guinea pig. I know here it's a pet,
but it's pretty
but
tasty.
over there,
is it?
Yeah, over there we eat
it is pretty tasty.
And it's really good.
And I would like to add something very important.
Yeah.
Like and this has a lot to do with a good experience that I had with a green coffee buyer long time ago. He's not working sourcing coffee anymore. He is now the CEO of the CQI, the Quality Coffee Institute. So I received his visit a long time ago, and we just kept it was a week probably of visiting around. That is a lot. Most of the green buyers, they just go for 2, 3, 4 days maybe.
Yeah.
This guy went for a whole week. And we were leaving very early from home, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., coming back very late every day. And we kept only like 6 or 8 samples of 2 cups each sample. It was so weird, because most of the green coffee buyers, they want to cup a lot of coffee.
Oh, okay.
They want to go through a lot of cupping to pick up what they are buying. So I learned a lot from him, because his idea was to the quality is a must, and he understood that quality was going to be there at some point.
Yeah.
We don't need to start working about quality, because quality is something that comes with better living conditions.
Yeah.
It's coming with better like practices, and that is something that you can learn and you can get. So then everything, as Maria Gracia was saying, and that's why she fell in love with coffee, is people, because she she doesn't drink coffee. Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, but
that's the highlight of the whole episode.
but the people is what is important here. So for this guy, is a really good friend. I think his main goal during that visit was to understand not only the people, was to understand the economic dynamics, social dynamics, environmental dynamics, how these people is working in coffee, producing coffee, processing coffee, how these people is the day by day of these people, how these people like react, how the society, the local society is. And I think that is very important, because like in every single place, even the same country that are producing coffee, all the societies are so different. So I want to encourage every single green coffee buyer to not being a coffee hunter, to being a real coffee buyer. Just not to pick coffee based in extremely high quality. Pick the coffee, quality should be there, but pick the coffee based in the society or the community they are working with, and they can cup the coffee in their labs with their own water, with their own grinder, with their own sample roasting.
Yeah.
But when they are visiting coffee producing countries, is spend value time with the communities they are working with, understand how they live, understand how they work, like understand 100% of the dynamics. that are going on in the field.
Sound like it had a big impact on you. Yeah,
Yeah.
the way that he visited.
Yeah.
We're coming down to closing here. I want to ask some closing questions. The first one's very straightforward. It's how can people be a part of what y'all are doing? So our listeners all over the world listening, how can they be a part of what you're doing?
I believe just,
Contact us.
I mean,
Contact us.
I mean,
that's
you
good too.
could do that if you want to visit farms and if you want to
Yeah.
see what the reality is
Yeah.
at the field. But as a consumer, I think just be aware of where are you buying your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to buy your coffee at a supermarket, do your research. Like the same way you do a research for, I don't know, to buy a car,
Yeah.
do your research to buy your coffee. Like, be conscious, with conscious.
Okay. Yeah. Care
Yeah.
care about it. Okay. Okay.
Make sure that there is the job that it says that it's on the paper, it's actually being done.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think either. Like they need to work with us to be part of what we are doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I like
it's,
that.
Yeah,
'Cause it's a mindset, like you said.
With
Yeah,
exporters
yeah.
they are working with the producers or communities they are working with, I think people should start like thinking a little bit more with the heart and love a little bit more like with the brain, like the opposite. Because like the footprint that every single people in coffee should leave, it should left the environment better than what they found when they arrived. So they don't need to work with us to be part of this movement or to be part of what we are doing. They just need to be conscious and need to try to do better to the coffee industry. Doesn't matter if they are buying coffee from us or not, or they are buying coffee from other country, our customers, like can be anyone. Because at the end, if a roaster is not roasting coffee, there will not be a producer producing coffee. And if a producer is not producing coffee, probably a roaster, it will not be roasting coffee.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. This question is main takeaway. If our listeners forgot everything that we said, I didn't add anything, so everything y'all said, and they only remember one thing, I'm going to let each of you share. What do you want that one takeaway to be? So they forget everything, but they remember one thing. What do you think it should be?
For me, is treat everyone equally and be conscious of what you're doing.
Okay. Jose?
For me, it's the same quote that I got this. I was saying everybody this weekend.
Oh, is it the...
Yeah, is set up sustainability as a mindset.
I love that. Yeah, KPIs, key whatever indicators. Yeah, if they're just like an end, yeah, you're just going to sit there. It's a really good thing to think about. And even like yours is a mindset too, right? It's like, it's do things with care as a mindset, like as well. I really like that. And okay, final question, I promise. There's this idea of unlearning. So you held a belief and something changed your mind and it had an impact on your life, okay? So is there anything that you've unlearned in your life, it can be in your life or recently, because it depends, that you'd like to share? Coffee's helpful because I think we need to unlearn a lot of stuff in coffee, so.
Well, I have lupus. And I have Sjogren's syndrome, and I also have a weird melanoma in my body. So we have learned to appreciate every day.
Yeah.
And that's why I think everybody should be treated the same. Because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you. You, Jose.
That is something that I consider myself a very arrogant person, like since like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like it's something that I learned not to be. And then I start like living in a way that I think we need to, like one of the most value skills that a person can have in these days is to unlearn. Because we cannot keep filling a cup that is already filled. We need to unlearn every single day and learn again. And that knowledge will change to get into wisdom to do things. So that is something that is motion. It's like trying to be better every single day.
Share your
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
Share it. Yeah. So
And share it.
knowledge.
yeah, I like that. So unlearning as a mindset, right? Kind of like similarly, and then sharing that. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you both for so much to talk about and so little time.
Whenever you want, we can do.
Thank you.
If you're listening to the whole series so far, we have stepped from producer to exporter. I hope you are experiencing, as I am, the movement from people to people as we talk about coffee. It is the people who make this journey special. So when you take a sip of your coffee today, think about the people who made it happen. Resources and references will be linked in the episode notes. Thank you to Ryan Ingerson for his research prep and more on this episode. Catch us in the next episode as we continue our journey through all the hands in coffee. As always, and until next time, happy brewing.